Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Continue reading from Krishna book, chapter 85 by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Spiritual instructions from Vasudeva and the return of the 6 dead sons of Devaki by Lord Krishna. It is a Vedic custom that the junior members of the family should offer respects to the elders every morning. The children and disciples especially should offer their respects to their parents of a spiritual master in the morning. In pursuance of this Vedic principle, Lord Krishna and Balaram used to offer their obeisances to their parents Vasudeva and Devaki. One day, after having returned from the sacrificial performances at Kurukshetra, when Lord Krishna and Balaram went to offer their respects to Vasudeva, Vasudeva took the opportunity to appreciate the exalted position of his 2 sons. Vasudeva had the opportunity to understand the position of Krishna and Balaram from the great sages who had assembled in the arena of the sacrifice. Not only did he hear from the sages, but on many occasions he actually experienced that Krishna and Balaram were not ordinary human beings, but were very extraordinary. Thus he believed the words of the sages that his sons, Krishna and Balaram, were the Supreme Personality of Godhead. With firm faith in his sons, he addressed them thus: My dear Krishna, you are the Sachidananda Vigraha, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and my dear Balaram, you are Sankarsana, the master of all mystic powers. Therefore, I have now understood that you are eternal, both of you are transcendental to this material manifestation and to its cause. The Supreme Person, Mahavishnu, you are the original controller of all. You are the resting place of this cosmic manifestation. You are its creator, and you are also its creative ingredients. You are the master of this cosmic manifestation, and actually this manifestation is created for your pastimes only. The different material phases that are manifest from the beginning to the end of the cosmos under different formulas of time are also yourself, because you are both the cause and effect of this manifestation. The 2 features of this material world, the predominator and the predominated, are also you, and you are the supreme transcendental controller who stands above them. Therefore, you are beyond the perception of our senses. You are the Supreme Soul, unborn and unchanging. You are not affected by the 6 kinds of transformations which occur in the material body. The wonderful varieties of this material world are also created by you, and you have entered as the Super Soul into all of them, down to the atom. You are the vital force of all these manifestations and also their supreme cognizant. As such, you are the maintainer of everything. The vital force, the life principle in everything, and the creative force derived from it are not acting independently, but are dependent upon you. The Supreme Person behind these forces, without your will, they cannot work. Material energy has no cognizance. It cannot act independently without being agitated by you, because the material nature is dependent upon you. The living entities can only attempt to act, but without your sanction and will they cannot perform anything or achieve the results they desire. The original energy is only an emanation from you, my dear Lord. The shining of the moon, the heart of fire, the shining of the moon, the heat of fire, the rays of the sun, the glittering of the stars, and the electric lightning, which are all manifested as very powerful, as well as the gravity of the mountains and the energy and fragrance of the earth, all are different manifestations of you. The pure taste of water, the water itself, and the vital force which maintains all life are also features of your Lordship. My dear Lord, although the forces of the senses, the mental power of thinking, willing and feeling, and the strength, movement, and growth of the body appear to be performed by different movements of the airs within the body, they are all ultimately manifestations of your energy. The vast expanse of outer space rests in you. The vibration of the sky, its thunder, the supreme sound Omkara, and the arrangement of different words to distinguish one thing from another are all symbolic representations of you. The senses, the controllers of the senses, the demigods, and the acquisition of knowledge, which is the purpose of the senses, as well as the subject matter of knowledge, all are you. The resolution of intelligence and the sharp memory of the living entity are also you. You are the egoistic principle of ignorance, which is the cause of this material world. The egoistic principle of passion, which is the cause of the senses, and the egoistic principle of goodness, which is the origin of the different controlling deities of this material world. The illusory energy or Maya, which is the cause of the conditioned soul's perpetual transmigration from one form to another, is you. My dear Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are the original cause of all causes, exactly as the earth is the original cause of different kinds of trees, plants, and similar varieties of manifestations. As the earth is present in everything, so you are present throughout this material manifestation as the Supreme Super Soul. You are the supreme cause of all cause, the eternal principle. Everything, in fact, is a manifestation of your one energy. The three qualities of material nature, Satta Guna, Rajas and Tamas, and the result of their interaction are linked up with you by your agency of Yogamaya. They are supposed to be independent, but actually the total material energy rests upon you, the super soul, since you are the supreme cause of everything. The interactions of the material manifestation, birth, growth, existence, transformations, deteriorations, and inhalation are all absent in you. Your supreme energy, Yogamaya, is acting in variegated manifestations, but because Yogamaya is your energy, you are therefore present in everything. In the Bhagavad Gita, this fact is very nicely explained in the 9th chapter, wherein the Lord says, "In my impersonal form I am spread all over the material energy. Everything is resting in me, but I am not there." This very statement is also given by Vasudha. To say that the Lord is not present everywhere means that He is aloof from everything. Aloof, His energy, although His energy is acting everywhere. This can be understood by a crude example. In a big establishment, the energy or the organization of the supreme boss is working in every nook and corner of the business. But that does not mean the original proprietor is present there. Although in every department the presence of the proprietor is felt by the workers, the physical presence of the proprietor in every department is a formality only. Actually, his energy is working everywhere. Similarly, the omnipresence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is felt in the action of his energies. Therefore, the philosophy of inconceivable simultaneous oneness with and difference from the Supreme Lord is confirmed everywhere. The Lord is one, but His energies are diverse. Vasudeva said, "This material world is like a great flowing river, and its waves are the three material modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. These material body, as well as the senses, the faculties of thinking, feeling, and willing, and the stages of distress, happiness, attachment, and lust, all are different products of these three qualities of nature. The foolish person who cannot realize your transcendental identity above all these material reactions continues in the entanglement of fruitive activity and is subjected to the continuous process of birth and death, without a chance of being freed. This is confirmed in a different way by the Lord in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. There it is said that anyone who knows the appearance and activities of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is freed from the clutches of material nature and goes back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, Krishna's transcendental name, form, activities and qualities are not products of this material nature. My dear Lord, Vasudeva continued, despite all these defects of the conditioned soul, if someone somehow or the other comes in contact with devotional service, he achieves the civilized human form of body which has developed consciousness, and thereby becomes capable of executing further progress in devotional service, and yet, illusioned by the external energy, people generally do not utilize this advantage of the human form of life. Thus they miss the chance of eternal freedom and unnecessarily spoil the progress they have made after thousands of births. In the bodily concept of life, due to false egotism, one is attached to the offspring of the body, and thus everyone in conditional life is entrapped by false relationships and false affection. The whole world is moving under this false impression and suffering material bondage. I know that neither of you is my son. Both of you are the original chief and progenitor, the personality of Godhead, the Purusa with Pradhan. But you have appeared on the surface of this globe to minimize the burden of the world by killing the Kshatriya kings who are unnecessarily increasing their military strength. You have already informed me about this in the past, my dear Lord. You are the shelter of the surrendered souls, the supreme well-wisher of the meek and humble. I am therefore taking shelter of your lotus feet, which alone can give one liberation from the entanglement of material existence. For a long time I have simply considered this body to be myself, and although you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I have considered you my son. My dear Lord, at the very moment when you first appeared in Kamsa's prison house, you informed me that you were the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that you had descended for the protection of the principles of religion as well as the destruction of the unfaithful. Although unborn, you descend in every millennium to execute your mission. My dear Lord, as in the sky there are many forms appearing and disappearing, you also appear in many eternal forms and then disappear. Who, therefore, can understand your pastimes and the mystery of your appearance and disappearance? Our only business should be to glorify your supreme greatness. When Vasudeva was addressing his divine sons in that way, Lord Krishna and Balaram were smiling because they are very affectionate to their devotees. They accepted all the appreciation of Vasudeva with a kindly, smiling attitude. Krishna then confirmed all the Vasudeva's statements as follows. My dear Father, whatever you may say, we are, after all, your sons. What you have said about us is certainly a highly philosophical understanding of spiritual knowledge. I accept it in toto without exception. Vasudeva was in the complete perfection of life in considering Lord Krishna and Balaram to be his sons, but because the sages assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra had spoken about the Lord as the supreme cause of everything, Vasudeva simply repeated it out of his love for Krishna and Balaram. Lord Krishna did not wish to detract from his relationship with Vasudeva as father and son. Therefore, in the very beginning of his reply, he accepted the fact that he is the eternal son of Vasudeva, and that Vasudeva is the eternal father of Krishna. After this, Lord Krishna informed his father of the spiritual identity of all living entities. He continued, My dear father, everyone and everything, including me and my brother Balaram, as well as all the inhabitants of the city of Dwarka and the whole cosmic manifestation, are exactly as you have already explained, but all of us are also qualitatively one. Lord Krishna intended for Vasudeva to see everything with the vision of Mahabhagavat, a first-class devotee who sees that all living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and that the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. In fact, every living entity has a spiritual identity, but in contact with material existence, one becomes influenced by the material modes of nature. He becomes covered by the concept of bodily life, forgetting that his spirit soul is of the same quality as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. one mistakenly considers one individual to be different from another simply because of their material bodily coverings. Because of differences between bodies, the split soul appears before us differently. Lord Krishna then gave a nice example in terms of the 5 material elements. The total material elements, namely the sky, air, fire, water and earth, are present in everything in the material world. Whether in an earthen pot or in the mountain or in the trees or in an earring, these 5 elements are present in everything in different proportions and quantities. A mountain is a gigantic form of the combination of these 5 elements, and a small earthen pot is made of the same elements, but in a smaller quantity. Therefore, all material items, although in different shapes or different quantities, are of the same ingredients. Similarly, the living entities beginning from Lord Krishna and including millions of Vishnu forms, and also the living entities in different forms from Lord Brahma down to the small ant, are all of the same spiritual quality. Some are great in quantity and some are small, but qualitatively they are of the same nature. It is therefore confirmed in the Upanishads that Krishna, or the Supreme Lord, is the chief among all living entities, and that he maintains them and supplies them with all necessities of life. Anyone who knows this philosophy is in perfect knowledge. The Vedic version, Tattvamasi, thou art the same, means not that everything is God, but that everyone is qualitatively of same nature as God. After hearing Krishna speak the entire philosophy of spiritual life in an abbreviated summation, Vasudha was exceedingly pleased with his son. Being thus elated, he could not speak but remained silent. In the meantime, Devaki, the mother of Lord Krishna, sat by the side of her husband. Previously, had heard that Krishna and Balaram were so kind to their teacher that they had brought back the teacher's dead son from the clutches of the superintendent of death. Yamraj, since she had heard of this incident, she had also been thinking of her own sons who were killed by Kamsa, and while remembering them she was overwhelmed with grief. Out of compassion for her dead sons, Devaki appealed to Lord Krishna and Balaram thus: My dear Balaram, your very name suggests that you give all pleasure and all strength to everyone. Your unlimited potency is beyond the reach of our minds and words. And my dear Krishna, you are the master of all mystic yogis. I know that you are the master of the Prajapatis like Brahma and his assistants, and you are the original personality of Godhead, Narayana. I also know for certain that you have descended to annihilate all kinds of miscreants who have been misled in the course of time. They have lost control of their minds and senses, have fallen from the quality of goodness, and have deliberately neglected the direction of the revealed scriptures. By living a life of extravagance and impudence, you have descended on the earth to minimize the burden of the world by killing such miscreants rulers. My dear Krishna, I know that Mahavishnu, who is lying on the causal ocean of the cosmic manifestation and who is the source of this whole creation, is simply an expansion of your plenary portions. The creation, maintenance and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation are effected only by a plenary portion. I therefore take shelter of you without a reservation. I have heard that when you wanted to reward your teacher Sandipani Muni, and he asked you to bring back his dead son, you and Balaram immediately brought him from the custody of Yamaraj. Although he had been dead for a very long time, by this act I understand you to be the supreme master of all mystic yogis. I therefore ask you to fulfill my desire in the same way. In other words, I am asking you to bring back all my sons who were killed by Kamsa. Upon your bringing them back, my heart will be content, and it will be a great pleasure for me just to see them once again. After hearing their mother speak in this way, Lord Balaram and Krishna immediately called for the assistance of Yog Maya and started for the lower planetary system known as Sutala. Formerly, in his incarnation of Vamana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead had been satisfied by the king of the demons, Bali Maharaj, who donated to him everything he had. Bali Maharaj was then given the whole of Sutala for his residence and kingdom. Now, when this great devotee Bali Maharaj saw that Lord Balaram and Krishna had come to his planet, he immediately merged in an ocean of happiness. As soon as he saw Lord Krishna and Balaram in his presence, he and all his family members stood up from their seats and bowed down at the lotus feet of the Lords. Bali Maharaj offered Lord Krishna and Balaram the best seat he had in his possession, and when both lords were seated comfortably, he began to wash their lotus feet. He then sprinkled the water on their head and on the heads of his family members. The water used to wash the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram can purify even the greatest demigods such as Lord Brahma. After this, Bali Maharaj brought valuable garments, ornaments, sandalwood pulp, betel nuts, lamps, and various nectarine foods, and along with his family members he worshipped the lords according to the regulative principles and offered his riches and boldly unto their lotus feet. King Bali was feeling such transcendental pleasure that he repeatedly grasped the Lord's lotus feet and kept them on his chest, and sometimes he put them on the top of his head. In this way he felt transcendental bliss. Tears of love and affection began to flow from his eyes, and all of his bodily hairs stood on end. He began to offer prayers to the Lords in a voice which choked up intermittently. My dear Lord, my Lord Balaram, you are the original Anantadev. You are so great that Anantadev, Sesa and other transcendental forms have originally emanated from you, and you, Lord Krishna, are the original personality of Godhead, with an eternal form that is all blissful and full of complete knowledge. You are the creator of the whole world. You are the original initiator and propounder of the systems of Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. You are the Supreme Brahman, the original personality of Godhead. I therefore, with all respect, offer my obeisances unto you, unto both of you. Period. My dear Lords, it is very difficult for living entities to get to see you. Yet when you are merciful upon your devotees, you are easy for them to see as such. Only out of your causeless mercy have you agreed to come here and be visible to us, who are generally influenced by the qualities of ignorance and passion. My dear Lord, we belong to the Daitya or demon category. The demons or demoniac persons, the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Vidyadharas, the Charanas, the Rakshasas, the Pisachas, the ghosts, and the hobgoblins are by nature incapable of worshipping you or becoming your devotees. Instead of becoming your devotees, they are simply impediments on the path of devotion. But you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, representing all the Vedas, and are situated in the mode of uncontaminated goodness. Your position is always transcendental. For this reason, some of us, although born of the modes of passion and ignorance, have taken shelter of your lotus feet and have become devotees. Some of us are actually pure devotees, and some of us have taken shelter of your lotus feet because we desire to gain something from devotion. By your causeless mercy only are we demons in direct contact with your personality. This contact is not possible even for the great demigods. No one knows how you act through your Yogamaya potency. Even demigods cannot calculate the expansion of the activities of your internal potency. So how it is possible for us to know it? I therefore place my humble prayers before you. Please be kind to me, who am fully surrendered unto you, and favor me with your causeless mercy, so that I may simply remember your lotus feet, birth after birth. My only ambition is that I may live alone, just like the Paramahamsas who travel alone here and there in great peace of mind. Depending simply upon your lotus feet, I also desire that if I have to associate with anyone, I may associate only with your pure devotees and no one else, for your pure devotees are always well-wishers of all living entities. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Master and Director of the whole world. Please therefore engage me in your service and let me thus become free from all material contaminations. You can purify me in that way, because if someone engages himself in the loving service of your lordships, he is immediately freed from all kinds of regulative principles enjoined in the Vedas. In the word Paramahamsa mentioned here means the supreme swan. It is said that the swan can draw milk from a mixture of milk and water. It can take only the milk portion and reject the watery portion. Similarly, a person who can draw out the spiritual portion from this material world and who can live alone depending only on the Supreme Spirit, not on the material world, is called Paramahamsa. When one achieves the Paramahamsa platform, he is no longer under the regulative principles of the Vedic injunctions. A Paramahamsa accepts only the association of pure devotees and rejects others who are too much materially addicted. In other words, those who are materially addicted cannot understand the value of the Paramahamsa, but those who are fortunate, who are advanced in a spiritual sense, take shelter of the Paramahamsa and successfully complete the mission of human life, period. After Lord Krishna heard the prayers of Bali Maharaj, he spoke as follows: My dear king of the demons, in the millennium of Swayambhu Manu, the Prajapati known as Marichi begot 6 sons, all demigods in the womb of his wife Urna. Once upon a time, Lord Brahma became captivated by the beauty of his daughter and was following her. Impelled by sex desire at that time, these 6 demigods looked at the action of Lord Brahma with abhorrence. This criticism of Brahma's action by the demigods constituted a great offense on their part, and for this reason they were condemned to take birth as the sons of the demon Hiranyakashipu. These sons of the demon Hiranyakashipu, these sons of Hiranyakashipu were thereafter put into the womb of Mother Devaki, and as soon as they took their birth, Kamsa killed them one after another. My dear king of the demons, Mother Devaki is very anxious to see these 6 dead sons again, and she is very much aggrieved on account of their early death at the hand of Kamsa. I know that all of them are living with you. I have decided to take them with me to pacify my mother, Devaki. After seeing my mother, all 6 of these conditioned souls will be liberated, and thus, in great pleasure, they will be transferred to their original planet. The names of these 6 conditioned souls are as follows: Ismara, Udgitha, Parisvanga, Patanga, Sudrabrita, and Grini. They will be reinstated in their former position as demigods. After thus informing the king of the demons, Krishna stopped speaking, and Bali Maharaj understood the Lord's purpose. He duly worshipped the Lord, and thereafter Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram took away the 6 conditioned souls and returned to the city of Dwarka, where Lord Krishna presented them as little babies before his mother. Mother Devaki was overwhelmed with joy and was so ecstatic in motherly feeling that milk immediately began to flow from their breasts, and she fed the babies with great satisfaction. She took them on her lap again and again, smelling their heads and thinking, I have gotten my lost children back. For the time being, she was overpowered by the energy of Vishnu, and in great motherly affection, she enjoyed the company of her lost children. The milk from the breasts of Devaki was transcendental nectar, because the same milk had been sucked by Lord Krishna. As such, the babies who sucked the breasts of Devaki, which had touched the body of Lord Krishna, immediately became self-realized persons. The babies therefore began to offer their obeisances unto Lord Krishna, Balaram and their father, Vasudeva and their mother Devaki. After this, they were immediately transferred to their respective heavenly planets. After they departed, Devaki was stunned with wonder that her dead children had come back and had again been transferred to their respective planets. She could adjust the events only by thinking that Lord Krishna can perform anything wonderful in his pastimes, because his potencies are all inconceivable. Without accepting the inconceivable, unlimited potencies of the Lord, one cannot understand that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Soul. By his unlimited potencies, he performs unlimited pastimes, and no one can describe them in full. Nor can anyone know them all. Sutto Goswami, speaking Srimad Bhagavatam before the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Saunaka Rishi, gave his verdict in this connection as follows. Great sages, please understand that the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna are all eternal. They are not ordinary narrations of historical incidents. With the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, anyone, therefore, who hears such narrations of the Lord's pastimes is immediately freed from the contamination of material existence. And those who are pure devotees enjoy these narrations as nectar entering into their ears. Such narrations were spoken by Sukadeva Goswami, the exalted son of Vyasadeva, and anyone who hears them, as well as anyone who repeats them for the hearing of the others, becomes Krishna conscious, and only the Krishna conscious person are eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 85th chapter of Krishna, the spiritual instructions of Vasudeva, and the return of the 6 dead sons of Devaki by Lord Krishna.